Yeah.
in the valley would be an example of that. That's totally ridiculous. Because we know that they're higher rising. Why would you put a fire station still on it?
See, homes with attics,
Mhm.
which we don't have very many anymore, attics for insulation, to keep the heat from coming down into your home. If you don't have an attic, then you have to put something else up there to try and create that. But when you talk about solar energy, just if you wanted to put in a solar panel in your home, the cost for the average person is prohibitive.
Yeah.
It's just expensive.
Yeah.
It's a good idea, and it would help a whole lot, but cost-wise, it's not efficient for many people. The person who has all the money can afford it, and he does it, and that's great for him. But the average person can't afford to do that, even with subsidies from the government at times. So you have to figure out other ways to do things that will bring down, create your green atmosphere that are not so expensive.
And you can make a very good point, because I see it as greed. And I see it as greed because, I'm going to give you an example. One of the things that we have a lot of problem with in the valley, and I'm sure everybody's had it in their home, from their moms and dads who have to pay for this. We have earthquakes. We have over 300 earthquakes a day here that we don't feel because they're so small. Nonetheless, they're still there. They quake the houses. They shift things around. I'll give you an example. We were putting water sprinklers in the front of one of our homes, and they had laid the pipe like 10, 15 years ago in a straight line. So when they went to look for it, or 10 years later to lay the pipe again, and work for the sprinklers, they found it has from beginning the slope.
Yeah.
So those of you that take all breath, the slope had angled 7 feet over.
Wow. 10 years, 7 feet, wow.
10 years, I had 10 years, maybe 15 years, but not more than that. But see, this is what happened now. In the valley, they are still pouring concrete over the plumbing. Has anybody in here, I'm sure a lot of people will raise their hand, has the water ever creaked, the pipe broken down under the concrete? Your mom and dad have to hire a plumber to break through there?
I've had plumbing problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they still do it. Now that's greed, because the carpenter or whoever is pouring that, the construction or over whatever, whoever does it, whoever designs the project, does it with future work for himself in the future. That's what they do. We had one of the houses, we finally talked to somebody that knew what they were doing, and they told us that now they reroute, and they, take the piping instead of putting it under the cement, because they wanted like $2,000 to come and drill a hole and put the little piece of pipe that was that big for cement. They wanted almost $2,000. That's prohibitive. But for about half as much, they came and took the pipe and rerouted and put all the pipe around the house, buried under the ground. So that was greed. That's greed because they're still pouring houses like that with the cement, knowing that the earth is going to go in. I mean, they know this before they pour the cement. So I do understand greed, and I'm very interested in greed and that. But my point to you, like that kind of, and this is not your fault. This is defense of my point.
Oh, yeah.
I do not see him making that connection.
And it's, bring up an example in support of you, when I was living up in San Jose, the thing I hear the people complain about all the time was just to do anything to their houses, whether upgrade, repair, you name it, there was so much money that had to be paid to the government.
Yes.
Just get a permit, just to get an inspector, this and that. And that just really surprised me.
Well, this has just happened recently here in the valley. Now you have to have two more permits than you used to have before. I can't remember exactly, but you can look it up. You need permits and have to pay a fee to be able to do 2 more types of upgrades in your home than you had to last year or before, because they need more money. So they find ways, and this is where it becomes prohibitive. All those homes most of the homes built before the 70s didn't have any insulation. It was just a one panel over panel. That's it. There was no insulation. Many of us have gone back and taken the inside out and insulated and then put the paneling back on. But those homes were built totally without paneling. And this heat. So I know, and I understand, and I'm with you on green things and green lifestyle and to save the earth. It's just one part of what we can do.
Yeah.
So I'm on your side.
Thank you, man. Anybody else? To change the subject, then, I guess since, for the past 20 years, they've been tracking the air quality in Imperial County, and especially Imperial Valley, and they've known it's bad air quality. And you can look it up online, and you'll see that we get like 22% of the days out of the year, the air is clean. Majority of the days out of the year, like 70 some odd percent, we have like moderate air quality, and then a couple, or some of the days it's really bad. So like moderate air quality means that people who have sensitive respiratory systems, they're going to suffer. They react. My parents are school teachers, and last school year, 3 days in a row, a little girl at the elementary school, they had to call the ambulance for her because she was suffering asthma attacks. And, so it's known by the government, they've been tracking it, that we had this bad air quality problem, and I haven't noticed any improvement.
Well, part of that, unfortunately, is the area in which we live. And part of it is because of the regulations south of the border, that the wind brings that air to us, and there's nothing that we can do about it. I mean, maybe we could build something. I mean, they don't have the rules and regulations that we have. We here, and the industries here, are regulated by government, and they do that, but we can't keep that air from coming across the border.
And why
Pollutes us.
And to which I want to ask, so why not? Why can't we in Imperial County say to people in Mexicali, hey, we share the same air, live in the same environment, why don't you guys do this? Because the Clean Air Initiative asked 2 companies in Mexicali to emission cap, and they agreed to that. And they did tree planting as well. So, I mean, it's not impossible for communication and cooperation to...
No, you can I agree, you can communicate, but
They agree.
but if they don't want to do it, they don't have to.
It hasn't been done.
They don't have to.
So then what can we in the Imperial Valley do to improve things on our end without having to spend thousands of dollars to put in solar panels or turning up our piping to put in more efficient piping? What is something tangible that we can do?
Anybody?
Another local problem is that we are ranchers. The methane coming up.
And the methane.
That's a big problem there.
Yeah.
We have cows.
Yeah.
Farming equipment and...
Yeah, because to me, the Imperial Valley is a pocket. It basically forms a natural pocket of air. So you have all this moisture and the hot air, and then on top of that, all the emissions and dust and plant matter, from the chafe and stuff like that. So all this stuff creates this hot, dense pocket of air that gets trapped down. Got cool air blowing in from the west, that's over the mountains, has very little moisture, traps it down. So when they burn that field, you burn a field, the column of smoke goes up, hits that invisible layer and goes, horizontal. And then you get to see, all that smoke stays up in the air, and you get to breathe it in. And that's, yeah.
So, are you suggesting maybe that we look into revolutionizing our agricultural technologies?
That probably wouldn't hurt because, for one thing, like how much pesticide is sprayed, how much fertilizer is sprayed, and how much of that stays in the air. But how do you do it without hurting the economy?
Couldn't we also implement like better reforms to where big companies don't leave to south of the border? Because most of the big companies in Mexicali are Honeywell, Bosch, Dell Computers, a bunch of them, and it's cheaper down there to throw waste on the ground in Middle America.
Yeah.
They have introduced reform. Have you studied it? They have twice. But no matter how reformed it is, it's still going to hurt the earth and hurt us. We have the highest incidence of pancreatic cancer in the valley, in all of the United States. Very few people know this. But you ask any doctor and they'll tell you.